I would give Terry and Meech, I would say, go watch Power and just figure out how to actually sell drugs correctly. I think that would be my that would be my advice to them.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Mark Dark, and I'm back with another video. If you're new, if you love BMF, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like the video, and leave your theories, comments, everything down below. Now today, we're going to be talking about BMF Season 3, Episode 2. This is the recap. Now I'm going to try my best to focus on all the key points that we saw in this episode. If I miss anything, you guys let me know down below. And we got introduced to a lot of new characters in episode 2, and I believe they did a great job at setting up some of these storylines for the rest of the season by giving us these new characters. I mean, I told you guys, Henrietta, she will be a problem. It still seems like the MK is going to be an issue. And of course, we know the new character Blaze, who was Henrietta's pops, played by your boy Braxton. He's controlling things. As I told you guys, I think it's going to be, some family tension, which may cause Henrietta to make a move on the family. We shall see how it's all going to play out. But man, we saw, some shady business going on in episode 2. We know Meech got intel from Angel about meeting up with Glocks Connect, but we know the MKs, they were already there. And of course, we know somebody gave out the word. Now down below, you guys let me know, who do y'all think gave out that intel about Meech meeting up with Glocks Plug? We know Rodney, he was kind of upset that Meech had a connection with Angel. He did not like that at all. He had that funny look on his face like he was kind of pissed off. So I would not be surprised if he made a move or whatever. He got intel from Angel, probably, roughed her up. And also, I told you guys I do not trust 2 Chainz's character Stacks. To me, he is moving kind of funny. He needs to be watched. But we're going to find out soon enough who was out there putting out that dirt. And once, that is revealed, we know Meech, he gonna have to do what he got to do to take care of that. But also on this episode, we saw your boy Raw Dog Charles, and we know once again he is trying to make things right with the whole marriage. But Lucille, she ain't going. She ain't going at all, and it seems like she's about to go out on a date with her old high school flame, Maurice, or should we say Dr. Maurice, y'all. I cannot wait to see how that's all going to play out. You guys leave your predictions down below. But let's begin the recap. As I told you guys, I'm going to try to focus on all the key points. If I miss anything, let me know down below. So what did we see in episode 2 titled Magic Makers? Now the episode starts out with them giving us like the flashback to where Meech and Terry were younger and how, they was told that they had to believe in Santa Claus and all that stuff. Of course, they talked about magic, and they made a very good point about magic and, magic tricks, and you need to spot the trick, because if you don't, it can knock you out. You know what I'm saying? You may not even see it coming. And in this episode, of course, we know somebody was pulling some tricks. Now, I told you guys, I believe Meech eventually will find out who set that whole thing up. And when he does find out, y'all know he gonna handle it. Now, your boy Terry has moved out. He goes and he sees Markeisha. She is crying, talking about she does not believe he should be moving in with her right now, whatever. She's still in her feelings, talking about she wants to look out for the safety of her children and all this stuff. I mean, she's very emotional, going back and forth. Terry is pissed off. He's like, man, like what is going on right now? But it is what it is. So it seems like they're going to take a break, but we already know this is not the last time we're going to see Markeisha's character. She will pop up. I think Terry will struggle dealing with LaWanda, and of course, having to deal with Markeisha down the line. Now, we learned that Cena has been locked up, which is bad for the business. I mean, this is their plug, so now they have to figure out what they're going to do about this and how they're going to get more weight in the future. Now, the Colombians, they come to look for Meech back in Detroit, right? They go to the house. Charles is there. He got his hammer. He's like, man, y'all got the wrong house. Who y'all looking for or whatever? And we know we were introduced to the character Loco, but they didn't want to, cause no issues. They just wanted to find Meech because they wanted to continue to do business. But at the time, it really did seem like they were trying to eliminate anybody that was connected to Meech. But luckily, nothing bad happened. Now, Charles, he was pissed off. He said, you know what? I need to talk to Meech. And that's exactly what he did. He told Meech about the Colombians coming to the house. He was very upset telling him the next time he is just going to give them Meech's number and let him deal with it. But your boy Charles was pissed off, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, you got these guys coming to the house, you don't know them, they strapped up, and anything could happen, right? But now Meech and Terry have to figure out what they need to do about this, and they feel like they need to find a plug. So of course, we know Terry, he has to do his work up in Detroit. Meech has to do his thing down in Atlanta. Now, Meech still needs to move some of the weight that he has. With the whole war going on, he cannot move as much weight. And of course, seeing how Dice is out the picture because he got dropped off in the last episode, it's kind of hard for them, to push out everything that they had. And Meech plans on, working with Dice's pipeline to see if he can still make those connections. Now, we know Stacks was talking about he can help move some of that weight with the connections that he got. I don't trust him at all. Meech, he needs to watch this guy at all costs. Now, Meech, he wants to just meet up with Glock's Connect. He feels like if he forms an alliance with the Connect, it can calm Glock down, right? And all they have to worry about is Remy and his boys. But they have to end up, getting that connection to Glock's Connect first, which they end up doing that later on in the episode when Meech meets up with Angel. Now we get to Detective Brian and his ex-wife Gloria, and she's pissed off about what happened to Kevin. Of course, she is blaming him, saying it's all his fault, but he is telling her, no, it's not, because you are the one that signed him off to me because you never had time for him, right? So they end up agreeing that they both pretty much destroyed the family, and they end up agreeing to fix it the best way that they can. And she ends up giving him a check because we know he needs the best lawyers possible, and he's not really getting paid like that. So we know later on in the episode, he does go and see his old homie Blaze. Now we get to the church scene. We see Nicole looking at her little crush Breeze, and we know that the church, they need volunteers for the hospital. And Lucille, she wants to make sure that they volunteer because she wants Nicole to see what the woman in the community does, and she's going to sign the whole family up. But of course, Charles said he can't volunteer because he got to work. Well, Charles, maybe you should have made some time because we know Dr. Maurice, he going to be there, and we already know he is trying to kick it with Lucille. Now, Charles and Lucille understand that Nicole is getting older and she's about to be, talking to boys, but they want to make sure she makes the best decisions. Now, Terry and the boys finally go and meet up with Henrietta. At first, he was believing that it was going to be a guy, but no. Once he got there, he realized that it was a female and she's not playing around. You know what I'm saying? We already knew she was not going to be playing around. But when Terry had the conversation with her about, making a deal, she actually seemed pretty cool. But she did tell Terry if he doesn't make a move with her or whatever, most likely his clients, they're going to run to her, which is going to be bad business for him. Now, they make the deal. We end up seeing your girl Peaches. She shows up. We already know what time it is. She is a rat. She can't be trusted. And we know that Henrietta will be meeting up with her later on in the episode to clap those cheeks. Now, Meech meets up with Rodney Greeny Green. They're talking about Glock. We know Meech, he wants to steal Glock's Connect. Now, Rodney, he is telling him that's probably not the best move. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you should just chill out. We know Meech tells him back in the D that him and Terry, they did whatever they had to do to stay on top. And we know that Rodney tells him, well, this ain't the D, and there's some lines that you don't cross. Seems like Rodney Greeny Green ain't really trying to be about, that type of life as far as the guns and drugs and all that stuff. But he could be lying. I mean, I don't trust Rodney Greeny Green at all. The dude, he is slick. And I would not be surprised if he got some tricks up his sleeve. Now, Meech does see Angel, and he sees that she's pretty much one of the top females up in there, and she has a very strong connection with Rodney Greeny Green. Now, Meech understands that Rodney is not trying to help him out at all with this whole Glock stuff. So he said, you know what? I see that she's over there with Glock's right-hand man. Maybe I can get her on my side. Maybe I can pay, her off in order to get some intel. So that whole game plan ended up working, and we know Meech will be meeting up with Angel later on in the episode. Now, Terry meets up with the Colombians, and it seems like they're, looking for Meech. They keep saying Dimitri or whatever. They want to know where he is at. Terry says, you know what? He ain't here. He is in Atlanta, and that's it. He really did seem like he was pissed off with them because of their approach, but luckily nothing bad happened, and they were just looking for Meech for good business. Now, we know Henrietta was clapping Peach's cheeks, and they're going to talk business. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, talking business with her is probably not the best move. I mean, she's only good for getting her cheeks clapped, and based on this episode, I guess she is good for tasting herself as well. But we also know that her time on the show was pretty much numbered. I mean, it's just a matter of time before Henrietta takes her out once he realizes exactly what she's all about. Now we get to Terry and LaWanda, and we already know that Terry, he wants to fix things. Of course, he is telling her messing around with Markeisha probably ain't really worth it because he wants to be there for his family, for his kids. I mean, he probably would have a different type of feeling if Markeisha would have allowed him to live with her. So, of course, I'm not believing anything Terry is talking about. But of course, LaWanda, she's going to break down because she wants him there or whatever. And we know Terry is telling her he will stay there for a few days to make sure that they're safe because of with all the stuff that's going on. So as of right now, it seems like LaWanda and Terry, they're on a good path. But we already know this Markeisha thing is far from over. Now, Meech meets up with Angel because he needs a name. He wants to know who Glock's Connect is, and he needs her intel. Now, at first, she was kind of acting like, nah, I don't know about that because she does not want to, cross anybody. She does not want to screw over Rodney Greeny Green, and she has to make sure that she brings him back some money. And Meech is like, man, so you out here hustling for him to make sure he got bread? What about you? And she was about to leave. Meech tells her, look, you ain't even gonna eat. You kind of skinny. And I'm thinking like, skinny? Like, really? You talking about she needs some meat on her bones? Did you see all the meat on those cheeks at that club? Ain't no way in the hell I'm calling her skinny. But anyway, we end up learning about her history. I told you guys in my prior videos that she lost her family when she was growing up. And of course, she was in foster care and all that stuff. We know Rodney Greeny Green, he pretty much saved her, took her in, and we know he is using her to make a lot of money. But Meech understands that she is worth more than that and she can do more. He just wants her to see it herself. So that connection between the two has started, and she's like, man, I never met anybody like you. So we already know his game plan as far as, talking to her, bringing her in has worked. And I'm pretty sure he's going to use her and her girls more in the future. Now, we get to your girl, Lucille, in her old high school flame, Dr. Maurice, and he ain't playing around. He's like, man, Charles stole me from you. He's throwing all these hints out like, he pretty much wants her still. And he is applying that pressure. And Lucille, she is loving this attention. You know what I'm saying? We know Nicole, she was over there watching her because she knew what time it was. But after Nicole walked away, we know that Dr. Maurice, he gave Lucille his card talking about let's meet up, let's catch up or whatever. So he gonna try, y'all. He gonna continue to shoot his shot. And y'all know this is going to cause some tension in the air. I told you guys I cannot wait to see Charles' reaction once he realizes what's going on with Lucille. I told you guys what you guys already knew. Lucille in season 3, she is definitely trying to get her groove back. Now, we get back to the club. One of the guys was being very disrespectful to Angel, and Meech, he beat him down. Now, of course, Angel, she loved that Meech stood up for her, and she gave him a little lap dance, putting those cheeks on him. And she gives him the name Santiago, and she tells him to look out, or at least ask around for the Havana house. So now he knows where he needs to go, and he has the name. So he takes this intel and he gets up out of there. Now, Rodney Greeny Green was looking in the background, and he was looking very upset and pissed off. So you guys, y'all let me know. Was Rodney the one that put out the word about Meech meeting up with that Santiago character? Did he let Glock and the MKs know what time it was? Because we know somebody let them know. Because how in the hell did they pop up there when Meech was there or whatever? So somebody close gave them that intel. I told you, I don't trust Rodney Greeny Green, and I damn sure do not trust 2 Chainz's character Stacks, who in this episode was talking about how, he helped out as far as pushing the weight. Everybody got to eat. Well, who else is you helping out? Well, we're going to find out soon enough. Now, we get to Blaze and Detective Bryant. We know these two, they go way back or whatever. And Detective Bryant, he needs some money. He needs an attorney. I mean, the dude need a lot of help, right? And we know Detective Bryant asked him, is he still in the game? Which we know a guy like Blaze, they never get out the game, right? And we know he's going to end up helping him out. Now, after Detective Bryant leaves, we know one of his guys was telling him, is it really worth it? And, this guy, he is, dangerous and desperate. So that means he could be used in many different ways. Now, Henrietta, she comes in right after that. And we know Blaze is telling her, like, look, this is still my organization. I still run things. You need to watch how you out here moving. I heard you out here, trying to expand. But remember who runs things, right? And she's pissed off, right? And we know she's telling him, like, man, I thought you brought me here to let me know that you was going to allow me to finally take over. Well, that's not about to happen right now. And he tells her, like, look, I need you to bring somebody else in the organization, basically, give them some work. So we already know who that somebody is. Most likely it is Detective Bryant, and he's about to be putting in some dirty work. Can't wait to see how this whole storyline is going to play out, but y'all saw the tension. You can see that Henrietta does not like what her father is doing, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be some backlash as the season continues to air out. You guys let me know what you think is going to happen. Now, we get to Meech and Duffy. They were supposed to be going to meet up with Santiago, but we know once they got there, we saw some bodies dropped off, so they wasn't really feeling it. They're like, man, this don't feel right. Like, why are the MKs here? Like, what's going on? Well, apparently this whole thing was going to be an ambush, and this whole meeting pretty much was just a setup, right? Now, we know Loco, he is there. He is telling Meech that none of that stuff that they told you is true, and that he used to be Ty Washington's old plug. He has connections to Cena. Cena told him that he is good. He learned, or at least heard, that Meech, he moved weight real fast. So he is there to be Meech's new plug. And seeing how the MKs are out there shooting, they got taken out quick, y'all. The Colombians, they do not play around. And it goes to show you just how easy they can take guys like the MKs out, especially back in those times. But they got dropped off. Your boy Loco, he was just chilling, sitting there smoking during the whole shootout. And him and Meech, they bonded. Meech was happy as hell. Like, man, I got a new plug. And the plug came to me. The plug was actually looking for me, whatever. So y'all know he feeling good. And he had to tell Terry what time it was as far as, getting that plug. So that means Terry, he had to go back to Henrietta and let her know that the deal that they was going to have, it's over. And he pretty much used her own words against her, because we know earlier on in the episode, she told him, don't be waiting too long because eventually all your, people, they going to come to me and all that. Well, Terry tells her the exact same thing. Like, look, BMF, they're about to flood the streets, and that don't wait too long because all your clients, they're about to come to me. She was pissed off. She was very upset. So you already know this is about to be a problem. We know right before this, they was already talking about how her pops, he was a former cop. He has all these connections and that nobody really messes with him, right? So they're building up this storyline, man. This Henrietta character, she's about to turn up in these next few episodes. Now we get to Lucille and Nicole, and we know Lucille was basically trying to have the talk with her daughter, letting her know, like, look, I know you're getting older. I know you like that Breeze character. I saw how you was looking at him. But she is talking to Nicole about morals and making the right decisions. And then Nicole's like, look, I'm not out here, getting it in or whatever. And I was looking at Breeze the same way you was looking at your old flame, Dr. Maurice. So is it really about what you've done with him in the past? Now, once she brought that up, Lucille really couldn't say anything. All she can say was, good night, Nicole. And she got up out of there. But Nicole was not lying at all. This scene had me cracking up. Now, after hooking up with Peaches one last time, Henrietta decides to drop her off, telling her she's not that smart. And she tells her that, she needed a plug with pure weight or whatever. And that she's in and, Peaches is up out of here. All I know is this. K9, he will be proud right now because we know he was pissed off at Peaches for what she did to him last season. Now, we get back to Lucille and she is fantasizing. She is thinking about Dr. Maurice. She damn sure ain't thinking about no Raw Dog Charles. Meanwhile, Charles, he's in the background looking like a sad puppy. Look at him. He's hoping and praying that she will let him back in the bed, talking about, I came to get my pillow. I mean, look at the guy's face, man. He really want to get back in with Lucille, but it's not happening. She tells him, good night, Charles, and that was it. But I cannot wait to see how everything's going to play out with this Dr. Maurice character, and how would Charles and Lucille's relationship end up being for the rest of the season. Now, we get back to the club. None of the headliners was there at all, so you already know they was talking about how they believe Angel probably set them up. But while they're having this conversation, we know that Stacks, he was trying to, dap up Loco, and he was looking at Stacks like, nah, I'm good, bruh. I don't trust you at all. Now, Meech ends up seeing Tina at the club, and he was surprised. Well, we know Monique helped her get that fake ID, from last season, and they ended up talking. We know Meech told her if she needs anything, he got her or whatever. And I'm pretty sure she's going to be in some more episodes because I believe she was talking to him about the Glock character. And I believe that's going to probably happen when they go to Miami. You guys let me know what y'all think about what's going to happen with Tina this season. Now, Meech ends up having a conversation with Rodney Grinny Green. And Rodney is thanking him, talking about, thanks for looking out for Angel or whatever, drinks on the house for you guys. And we know Meech is telling him, maybe you should be treating her a little bit better. She deserves it. And Rodney, he had that little grin on his face, smirking. I'm looking like, man, this dude definitely cannot be trusted at all. As Meech said, this dude think he's slick and he ain't going for it, man. Now, we know in this episode, Detective Veronica Jin and her partner, they got an anonymous tip from somebody that apparently saw a car leave the crime scene of Saint being taken out, and they got a license plate number or whatever, and it traces back to the character Cuts that's a part of the PA Boys. And now we know they was watching them in this episode. They was watching Terry's whole crew, taking pictures and everything like that. So you already know they're about to press the attack. Now, this is the Cuts character. I'm pretty sure they're going to probably have a conversation with this guy probably in next week's episode, or at least continue to see what they can dig up on him. Now, we learned that Detective Emberson, she used to buy drugs. She stated that she hated her family. Life was really hopeless and she needed something to numb the pain. So is this, I guess, problem that she had back in the day, will this pop back up on her this season? Well, in my opinion, they did not bring this up for no reason, so don't be surprised if you see Detective Emberson smoked out in one of these episodes. And we know they end up talking about how Terry probably had the PA Boys take out Saint, but they still have to prove it, which, as I told you guys, it's going to be a tad bit difficult for them to do that. But we're going to see what they're going to do with this whole storyline as far as this Cuts character and, getting that intel on the license plate and him leaving the crime scene. Now, the end of the episode ends out with Meech and Loco. And of course, they're talking about, their struggles. We know Loco, he came into the country from Cuba. And of course, he was very desperate to get to the country. It was a struggle. We know Meech and Terry, they grew up real rough. They had to put cardboard in their shoes in order to cover up the holes at the bottom of their shoes. And, they just had a bonding moment. Now, we can hear older Meech talking about how Terry and, Meech, they used their work. It wasn't because it was luck. They used their hard work in order to make the deal they made. The plug sought them out, and that's why they're in the position that they're in right now. So they worked their own magic in order to get the deals that they got. That's why I was telling you guys, if you put in the work, no matter what, if you're doing what you got to do, a lot of the times people, they will come to you in order to see if they can make a deal, because they know just from what they've been hearing and what you've done, they know you're good, and they want to make sure they can have that same experience, by dealing with you. But you guys, y'all let me know, man. What did you feel about episode 2? To me, it was a solid setup episode for all these storylines that's developing. A lot is about to pop off. Cannot wait to see next week's episode. I believe they will be going down to Miami, and it's about to get crazy, y'all. We're finally going to get introduced to the Glock character, and we know Meech, once again, is going to be getting into, more fights, and I'm pretty sure more bodies just may get dropped off. Now, I will be breaking down that episode 3 trailer over the weekend, so I want you guys to stay tuned for that. But I want to thank you guys once again for all the love, all the support, and now I'll catch y'all on the next one. But let me get up on out of here, man. It's your boy Mark Dark. I'm out. Peace.